Today, basically, we're going to talk about how the brain can help us learn things and process information unconsciously. The first stage that occurs is essentially when we're first taking in information. This is something that cognitive scientists and neuroscientists call encoding. And then subsequent to encoding, sometime later, what happens is you need to recall that information that you've learned in order to use it. We call this retrieval. But the question that we're focused on today, and that a lot of scientists are currently working on, is what happens in between encoding and retrieval. What actually gets us between these two stages, and by extension, where do these eureka moments come from? The brain is actually performing an active task in between encoding and retrieval. So these are the areas that we found to be involved in this unconscious cognitive processing of the cars. Now, critically, we also looked at the brain activity during the encoding of the information about the cars. And we actually saw very similar activation. So we saw this intermediate visual cortex, and then this lateral prefrontal cortex. And in fact, the activation is so similar that if you overlay the images on top of one another, you can see that the activations actually match up really nicely. So it's the same neural regions, the same parts of the brain are involved in in encoding of the information of the cars, and in the later unconscious processing, which occurs during the distractor task. So this is a really interesting finding. Basically, when you're learning information, your brain is active and different parts of the brain are doing different things. But then afterwards, when you're doing something completely different, some of those parts of the brain stay active.